Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Tiny English. We are so happy to have you here with us for another conversation. I'm May.
And I'm Gray. It's wonderful to see you all again. We're sitting here today ready to talk about something very personal, something that I think almost every single language learner has experienced.
That's right. Today, we're going to tackle a big challenge, the feeling of being able to understand English perfectly well, but when it's time to speak, your mind just goes blank. We'll talk about why that happens and share some gentle, practical tips to help you build your speaking confidence.
This will be a very supportive and chill learning conversation. There's no judgment here. Our goal is to show you that you're not alone in this feeling and to give you the English vocabulary you need to talk about this experience and overcome it.
Exactly. This is a safe space to learn and grow. Before we dive into our heart-to-heart chat, let's quickly preview some key words that are essential for today's topic. Knowing these will help you follow along easily.
Great idea. First, we have the phrase, to freeze up. When you freeze up, you become so nervous or scared that you can't move or speak. It's a very common feeling when speaking a new language.
Next is the word mistake. A mistake is an action or a judgment that is wrong. It's important to remember that making mistakes is a normal and necessary part of learning.
Then we have the adjective confident. To be confident means to feel sure of yourself and your abilities. Our goal is to help you feel more confident when you speak English.
Another great verb is to practice. To practice means to do something regularly in order to become better at it. Consistent practice is the key to improvement.
And finally, the phrase small steps. This means making progress by doing little things, one at a time, instead of trying to do everything at once. Taking small steps is a great strategy for building confidence.
Okay, let's quickly review. To freeze up, mistake, confident, practice, and small steps. Got them? Wonderful.
All right, let's get into it. Let's talk about that scary moment when you want to say something, but the words just won't come out.
Okay, Gray, let's be honest. I have a confession to make. The other day, a tourist asked me for directions. I understood everything she said perfectly. In my head, I knew exactly what to tell her. But when I opened my mouth to speak, nothing came out. I just froze up.
Oh, May, I know that feeling so well. It's so frustrating, isn't it? Your brain is full of words, but your mouth feels like it's forgotten how to work. What do you think was happening in that moment?
I think I was just terrified of making a mistake. My mind was filled with worries. What if I use the wrong preposition? What if my pronunciation is terrible? What if she doesn't understand me and just looks at me with a confused face?
The what-ifs. They are so powerful. That fear of being judged is a huge barrier for so many learners. We're so focused on speaking perfectly that we end up not speaking at all.
Exactly. It's like there's a perfectionist living in my brain and it criticizes every word before I even say it. But when I'm listening to a podcast or watching a movie, that perfectionist is quiet, so I can understand everything without any problem.
That's such a great way to describe it. Speaking is an active skill, a performance, and that's what makes it scary. But we need to have a little chat with that inner perfectionist. We need to remind ourselves that making mistakes is not a failure. It's proof that you are trying.
I know you're right, logically, but it's hard to remember that when you're in a real-life situation. The feeling of embarrassment can be really strong.
It can. But think about it this way. When you hear a non-native speaker talking in your language and they make a small mistake, what do you think? Do you laugh at them?
Of course not. I think, wow, their skills are really good. I completely understand what they mean, and I'm so impressed that they are learning my language.
See? That's how most people will feel about your English. People are generally kind and patient. They will be focused on your message, not on your grammar. The first step to becoming more confident is to be as kind to yourself as you are to others.
Be kind to myself. Okay, but how do I actually start? How do I go from being kind to myself in theory to actually speaking in practice?
By taking very, very small steps. And the first step can be taken when you are completely alone.
Alone? How can I practice speaking if I'm alone?
It's one of my favorite techniques. You talk to yourself. I know it sounds a little strange, but it's one of the most powerful ways to build foundational confidence.
Talk to myself? Like, what do I say?
You can start by narrating your life. When you're making coffee in the morning, you can say out loud, "I am making a cup of coffee. I am pouring the hot water. I am adding some milk."
Okay, I can picture myself doing that. It feels a bit silly, but I see your point. There's zero pressure because no one is listening.
Exactly. You're getting your mouth and your brain used to the physical act of forming English sentences. You're building the muscle memory. And if you don't know a word, it's not embarrassing. You can just describe it. Instead of spatula, you can say, "I am using the flat thing to flip my egg."
That's a great tip. So it's also practice for thinking on your feet. What else can I do alone?
Another great exercise is to read a short text out loud. It could be a news article, a page from a book, or even the script from one of our videos. This helps you get comfortable with the rhythm and flow of English without having to think of the words yourself.
Reading out loud. I like that. It feels like a safe way to practice pronunciation.
It is, and an even more powerful version is shadowing. You play a short audio clip of a native speaker and you try to speak at the exact same time as them, mimicking their pronunciation and intonation. It's challenging, but it's an amazing workout for your speaking muscles.
Wow, these are fantastic ideas. They all happen in a private, safe space, so the fear of making a mistake is gone. The goal is just to practice.
Precisely. Once you feel a little more confident speaking to yourself, you can take the next small step, speaking with others.
Okay, this is the scary part. How do I transition from talking to my coffee machine to talking to a real person?
You continue with the philosophy of small steps. You don't have to start by giving a presentation. You can start with low-stakes conversations. These are short, simple interactions where there's very little pressure.
What's an example of a low-stakes conversation?
Buying a coffee. You only need to say a few things. "Hello, can I have a large latte, please?" And "Thank you." That's it. It's a predictable and short conversation. Every time you do it successfully, your brain gets a little shot of confidence.
That's so true. It's a small victory. What's another one?
Asking a shop assistant a simple question, like, "Excuse me, where can I find the rice?" Or giving a simple compliment, like, "I like your shirt." These are tiny interactions that help you break the barrier of silence.
I can do that. I can definitely handle buying a coffee in English. So, after I get comfortable with these tiny interactions, what's the next small step?
The next step is to find a language exchange partner or a friendly online conversation group. This is a dedicated space where everyone knows you are there to practice. The other person is also a learner, so they understand your fears completely. Making mistakes is not just accepted, it's expected.
A language exchange partner. That sounds like a wonderful idea. It's a supportive environment. We can help each other.
Exactly. You can start with just 5 minutes of conversation. You can agree to talk about a simple topic, like your favorite movie or what you did over the weekend. The key is consistency. A 5-minute practice session 3 times a week is much better than one stressful hour once a month.
This all makes so much sense. It's about creating a ladder of challenges where each step is just a little bit higher than the last. It's not about jumping straight to the top.
You've got it perfectly. It's a journey of small steps. And every step, no matter how small, is progress. The goal is to slowly turn the volume down on that inner critic and turn the volume up on your confident voice.
I feel so much more hopeful now. I have a real, practical plan. It doesn't feel so impossible anymore.
I'm so glad you feel that way, May, and we hope all of you watching are feeling more hopeful too. Now let's practice some of the key sentences from our conversation.
It's time for our listen and repeat activity. I'll say a sentence and you repeat it out loud. This is an important small step in your journey. Ready?
Here's the first one. A very common fear. I'm afraid of making a mistake.
Here is the next sentence. This is a great piece of advice. You need to be kind to yourself.
Now, a sentence about a great strategy. I will practice by talking to myself.
Here's a phrase for a good plan. I am going to start with small steps.
And one more, a beautiful reminder. Making mistakes is proof that you are trying.
Fantastic work, everyone! You are already speaking. Now for our interactive prompt. We've shared many ideas today for low-pressure speaking practice. We want you to think about one you can try. So, our question is, what is one small step you can take this week to practice speaking English?
It could be any of the ideas we discussed. Will you try narrating your actions when you cook? Will you read a paragraph from a book out loud? Or will you try to buy your coffee in English?
Think about one specific, achievable goal. For example, this week, I will practice saying hello and thank you in English at a shop. What will your small step be? Take a moment to decide.
And that's our conversation for today. We hope we've helped you see that the gap between understanding and speaking can be crossed.
We talked about why we freeze up, the importance of changing our mindset about mistakes, and shared a ladder of practical small steps you can take to build your speaking confidence. Remember, you are not alone in this journey.
We sincerely hope you found this conversation helpful and supportive. If you did, please give this video a like. It tells us that these kinds of topics are important to you and helps other learners find our channel.
And if you haven't already, please subscribe to Tiny English and hit that notification bell. We would be honored to be a part of your English learning journey.
Now for our question of the day. It's a question of encouragement. What is one piece of advice you would give to another English learner who is afraid to speak?
Think of what you would tell a friend. Maybe it's, don't worry, or your English is better than you think. Share your encouraging words in the comments below. Let's create a really positive and supportive space for each other.
Thank you so much for your time and your courage.
Until next time, take a deep breath, take one small step, and happy speaking. Bye!